sometimes we end up getting very preoccupied with the weighing scale. And we're currently in a day and age where there is so much information about body image and body standards. And on one end of the spectrum, very rightfully so, we have fat shaming. That's something that shouldn't exist. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have things like fit shaming or skinny shaming. And messaging is very varied. It's easily accessible, and it can be very confusing to a young girl. What would your advice be to the younger generation of women to strike the right balance for health and fitness that is unique to them?
So, like I always say, put in the work, make sure that you're doing something that is right. Never go overboard. Like when you speak about fit shaming, you do have people who are excessively, conscious about what they would eat, excessive workout, excessively. Both the spectrums are not healthy. It's unhealthy, right? Fixation with anything is unhealthy. So yes, we do not talk on fixation, but yet, after all is said and done, there is still the path, the correct way. And then there are all the other ways to fitness or to maintaining health. So that is why I feel the role of a coach these days is so important in any field. Somebody who can show you the right way, because there are so many. You have coaches. There'll be a ton of coaches who will tell you, please count the calories. When you are doing research, when you see the latest, what is happening in science, you will understand that calorie counting will fail you. Sooner or later, fail you. And you can't have youngsters counting every morsel of food that they eat. But you can tell youngsters that there's a certain group of food items which are totally cool for you to have because it will help you with growth. And why don't you keep this set of articles to, as less as possible? Maybe that is something they'll be able to grasp better, that if I'm hungry, I might as well, eat a little more of this if I have to. For example, I have so many kids who are, 10th and 12th and, appearing for their competitive exams and seniors in exams. So, when they join me, it's like, ma'am, I'm studying at night till 2. And invariably, the child or the youngster would want to have a snack. So it's not my role as a coach to say, sorry, boss, your 1,500 calories for the day are done. Now you please study. And right? How would you work with counting of calories? You cannot. So you have to tell them that totally cool. This is the group of foods that, you want to eat something. Make sure that, this is what is at hand. So you always have to understand that when it comes to extremes are never good. But yes, you have to be very guided about what is it that you can follow and what is it that you should not, because it is a no for your health and for your fitness. So yes, coaches are important. And something like calorie counting, my personal view, it's not just my personal view, it is something that is being proved by science again and again. And the latest research shows that calorie counting will never take you far. I can have a short-term objective. If you're appearing for a competition, you're going for a physique competition, you have a certain amount to lose for maybe a modeling contract, you have a certain target of 2 kilos, let me get rid of these 2 kilos, etc., etc. I can understand if somebody's trying to do it for a short term. But still, if your basic health is not cool, if you have deficiencies already in your system, even a little thing like a 7-day strict calorie count or reduction of foods or eliminating of a certain food group will cause havoc to your health. We all know that by science that keto is supposed to be a very healthy form of eating, and there are people who are doing healthy keto and they're doing very great with their health and medical parameters. And yet you have horror stories where people do keto and women have lost their hair, and they come back to you that I will never go back to keto again because keto did this to me and keto did that to you. Whenever you hear such stories, you always have to understand that by science, keto is not something that's not scientifically acceptable. It is very acceptable, and it does help you lead a very healthy life, provided you're doing it with a certain amount of good whole carbs in it. But the horror stories you hear are people who already had nutrient deficiencies, people who were already eating wrong over a long period of time. They had, accumulated such deficiencies and such hormonal imbalances in their body that then when they went all out to do a strict keto, they just, what they did was they just compounded those deficiencies and caused serious health troubles. So yes, you need to understand that first get yourself on track with good health. That's why good health is so important. Get all your parameters checked, your nutrient values, especially in India, because more than half our population is vegetarian. Those who are non-vegetarians will have such unhealthy eating habits that they themselves are, overloading their bodies with sugar, that most Indians are either pre-diabetic or we are deficient in B12, and the women are perpetually on their low hemoglobin levels. So whenever we want to start something and we start a fad diet or anything that's extreme, we anyway have such deficiencies in our body that we just load it on with more stress. So first we need to become healthy as a population. So that's why my stress is always first get healthy and then see, okay, what works for me in the long term, right?
100%. So get your basics right and then stick to something that's sustainable and not short term and not like a quick fix.
Right.
Super. That's excellent advice.